Then we get the freezing fog occasionally.
The what?
Freezing fog,
Freezing fog.
yeah.
Sounds
We
fun.
do have some unusual weather conditions
Yeah.
here. Have you ever heard of hoar frost?
No.
It's beautiful. It's the trees get, every branch, every little piece of the tree is just covered in big frost.
That's pretty
And
cool.
I don't know why they call it that, but anyone know? Hoar frost? Because it's horrible? I don't know.
But it is beautiful if you get a sunny morning.
Oh, it's spectacular, yeah. And you'll see it. You'll wake up one morning and go, oh my gosh. 1 minute. We went up to Chain Lakes last weekend. Did you? And hiked. Did you say you have a camper?
We used to.
Okay.
I had to sell it to come
Well, the
here.
place was packed.
Oh, I bet.
It was packed. There wasn't a
Beautiful.
campsite left. And you have to make a reservation. People we saw there, friends of ours, they made their reservation for last week in April.
Oh, wow.
You can't
That's
do it
crazy.
more than 6 months ahead. Well, are we going by that clock? If we are, I'm going to call this meeting to order. So, let's do our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we'll observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Okay. It says do a roll call. Make sure we have a quorum, and I'm counting myself, Mike Quandaris, I see Gordy, and I see Jeannie, so we do have a quorum. We're missing, if the notes can reflect that we're missing Brandon Schmidt, the mayor, Joseph Tolmer, and Shirley Fetro, our secretary. Next, I would ask for comment or an approval on the minutes from the last meeting.
Make the motion to approve.
Okay, motion
I'll
made.
second.
Seconded by Gordy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Visitors, hi. How are we doing? The regulars, thanks for coming. Okay, oral and written reports. Lutheran EMS is up first.
All right, how are you guys? So looking at the month of September, honestly, our numbers are pretty consistent. One thing that you'll notice that the month of September, we noticed a spike, a decrease in our 911 volume. Nothing really consistent runs with that. Definitely made up for it in October, I promise that. But otherwise, our numbers are consistent. I'm, again, incredibly impressed with the staff and the way that they continue to respond through these calls and ensuring that the people of your coverage area are, again, continuing to be well taken care of. One thing that was very exciting for us during the month of September, as I had kind of reported through the summer, we had staff who had finished a 16-week course for our our mobile integrated health. Very similar to the program that Warsaw Fire runs with the CARES program, where we're focusing more on the medical health and trying to bridge that gap from inpatient care to outpatient care, especially for some of the people and the community members who maybe aren't able to afford those home health care agencies and things like that. And so during the month of September, we actually initiated our program and started our program. So we are very excited to have that up and running. And again, throughout the month of October, we have continued to grow that program. So I am very excited. It is something, Chris isn't here to vouch for that, but it is something we work with the CARES program quite frequently, where they're focusing a lot on the medical health. We do have some patients we're seeing together, where they have medical and some mental health that they're getting this outpatient treatment for. So it's been really beneficial for the community to get some of this care outside of the hospital setting. So that has kind of been our big focus through the month of September as we kind of got into the fall season. So as we get into flu season, we've started looking at giving flu shots and things like that in the homes for those patients that maybe can't get to their physicians or the clinics and things like that. So, questions?
When you help the CARES, Michaela and Chris,
Yeah, yeah.
When that call comes in to 911, do you automatically respond, or do they call you and say, I think we're going to need you on this one? Or?
So their CARES is getting dispatched through the 911 versus ours is more so the hospital or the insurance is reaching out to us saying, hey, can you guys go see these patients? I think they're going to be a risk for readmission, some of those things. We don't get 911 dispatch for our mobile integrated health, more of other resources outside of that area. So in the situation where they would need us to respond with them, it's usually a follow-up. It's not an emergent situation like the 911 CARES program is.
So is this on scene?
Usually it's after a 911, after an admission. It's somebody who has significant like COPD where they could be readmitted to the hospital that we're trying to make sure isn't going to be admitted again to the hospital.
I see. Okay.
So because unfortunately, as we all saw with COVID, a lot of our very sick medically patients do have some mental health that play into it. And that's where we're seeing our CARES program kind of working together through the mental health and the physical health. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions, comments? No. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Okay, all right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Alicia. Okay, Chief, I think you might be next.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Like Alicia said, we kind of had a dip in calls comparatively for, we're kind of ramping up throughout the year. Plus 20 here, plus 30 there, but we were down to 316 responses in September. Of those calls, 41 were fire related. That could be smoke alarms, carbon alarms, all those different alarms, sprinklers, and the few fires that we did have. However, the number that keeps climbing is the overlapping calls. Out of the 316, 105 of those calls were overlapped, which is, it's getting up there to the 33%. And all that really means is a 911 goes out, and immediately after that we get a second call, and pretty soon we're a little low on resources. It's happening more frequently than it's not. In fact, I've actually started paying attention to that. It happens almost about every call.
Is that second call related to the first
No,
call?
it's just-
a totally different
It could
situation.
be the first call of the day at noon, but that second call will always kick out at the same time. It's unbelievable. That number is, it continues to climb, so I'm curious to see what it will be like around this time next year. But we did have a dip in responses, probably about 50 or 60 less than we did last month. But of the fire calls, any of the three, we had three that were of any significance to put on this particular monthly, and one was a tree/brush fire on 1728 North 175. We extinguished. There was no exposures. We did have a vehicle fire at 1200 Lake City Highway on the roadway. That was also extinguished with no exposures. And then we had a residential fire in, it was actually multifamily at 504 East Fort Wayne, that apartment. There's several apartments that were kind of made into that house. There was a couch on fire that got into the wall. The guys were able to get that extinguished without any exposures into the other occupancies, so that was good. Assist to other agencies. We assisted Winona with a house fire that ended up fortunately being nothing. We were canceled on scene. And then we received aid from Winona and Leesburg on a reported house fire that also ended up being nothing, so we canceled them prior to their arrival. The other call, the excess no heat fire, there was just a couple of those. Those are basically false structure fires. If we get there and there's nothing found. Medical calls for the month of September, as noted in the notes on the right-hand side, we had 159. If you look to the right of that, we had 201 in August, so it shows you kind of our decline in September. And then CARES calls is roughly the same, 63 in September. We had 67 in August, so those are kind of staying firm, and we don't anticipate those going down at all. The other important call that we had is we had our first actual dive call last month in the Winona Lake. It unfortunately ended up being a recovery, but the dive crew was initiated along with sheriff, and we worked with Winona PD. We all worked together. We were able to recover the body. It took about 4 hours, but that was our first of the year and hopefully the last. Training hours, we had 505 max in our public education, public service guys. Started the firefighter of the day program and the kindergarten program. So firefighter of the day is we go to all the elementary schools, and it's kind of like a competition on who can make or think up the coolest whatever they want to do. They can make a house out of clay. They can do whatever they want to do, and whatever the most impressive one is, the guys vote on it, and they basically become like a firefighter of the day. They get to come ride the truck. They don't really get to participate in any fashion, but they get to ride the trucks. They get to go on the calls. They do have to stay in the engine, but they're just kind of like one of the guys or gals. They get to. We ask them what they want to do, if they want to eat out or if they want to cook and all that stuff. They just get to spend a whole day with us, and it's a lot of fun. And they also started the kindergarten program, so we're in every single kindergarten throughout Warsaw School District.
So do they all come on one day at the same time to a station? You have them all in at once, the firefighter of the day from each school, is that?
Well, they only pick one, but it's on a different day. So like two will ride together, otherwise it gets too much. So we break it out to different days, so each kid will have
I see.
a part, like another kid there, but it's not from every single school. We'll break it up. But they had a lot of fun. They ask a lot of cool questions. They're really, really engaged, so it's a really fun program.
Fun.
But other than that, we saw about 165 people from Eisenhower, 54 from Sacred Heart, 65 from Lighthouse Autism Center, and 75 from Lincoln, as far as children and adults for public education this month. So they've been doing good. The ball's rolling. It doesn't stop till the end of the year now, so all the programs are starting, and they just do a tremendous job. Other than that, that is it.
Anybody have any questions, thoughts? The only thing that comes to my mind is you both mentioned September was a slower month. Any reason why?
It was slower.
Could we
as
make
far
every
as-
month a little slower month?
I think the fact that there isn't 911 calls, I'm not upset. That means people are healthy, that means people are outside.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a bad thing, but like I said, we definitely have made up for it in October.
Oh, okay. So no chance of a slower month this month,
No.
next month, October. All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Chief, I think you're still on the podium. Operating fund. Expenditure
All right.
reports.
So there are a few charges that I'd like to point out on
Okay.
the appropriation detail history, page 2.
Page 2.
Our quarterly clothing allowance hit for the 9,200. And then on page 4, we have our diesel and fuel bills, 5,100 and 1,700. Those are not going down either.
Yeah, diesel fuel is, I just read that it's becoming hard to find and more expensive when you can find it.
Yeah, I've heard it's going to be non-existent here soon. I hope those rumors are false. And on page 6 is our DRI dive class for 10 grand. That was the class that we hosted back in August. It was a fantastic success. The guys from DRI had nothing but good things to say. We were able to get a few of those spots comped because of the people that we did bring in, but it still ended up costing 10 grand, which it's a good deal. It was really good classes, good training for our dive guys. Also on page 7 was our annual fire hose testing. That was 5,800, so we got a lot of our annual stuff out of the way last month, which is a good thing. We also had core mechanical service station 1, 2, and 3's HVAC units for 1,200 last month. And that's really all the significant charges in the operating.
Okay. Any questions, fellow board members? Okay, Chief, Fund 4410.
Hey, Mike, back up. Might want to take a motion on to approve.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Would anyone like to make? Okay, Jeannie makes a motion,
I'll second.
seconded by Gordy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Thank you. Okay, Chief, now, Fund
Yes,
4410.
sir. Thank you. So Fund 4410, usually we're not taking any money out of this. However, we did hire 4 guys a couple months ago, and all their uniforms and new hire stuff and equipment all hit this month. Turnouts, et cetera, everything that we need to provide for these new guys. On the detailed history report, page 1, you'll see the 2062, 2011, 2013 for all the new hires. Also Nomex hoods and flashlights for 2,700. And then just above that, those are Knox boxes that we put in our vehicles, kind of like the keys to the city. We have access to all the buildings. We needed to purchase a couple more of those to put in vehicles. One was actually for our new, the vehicle Michaela is in right now. I wouldn't say it's a new, but it's working out for her. And that is it.
Chief, back on page 1, the repairs, 42 to the year, we've,
Page 2, what'd you say?
page 1, I was just looking at 42,000. Was that for the repair of the truck that sat there for so long?
Page 1 of.
Well,
the
I'm
fund.
looking right here at this. And it's probably been a while.
Oh, you're on page. Oh, I gotcha. Equipment repairs.
That
Are you
was
talking about the second line item?
Yes.
So that was.
It wasn't this month, so obviously we've looked at it in the past. It just jumped out at me.
Well, we did have the PO for Battalion 13. That came out of this fund this year, but it was PO'd 2 years ago.
Okay.
So that was a big number. And then the ladder truck wasn't super significant. It was just a couple in chunks. It was about 15 grand, right around there for, and that's just coming out of the repairs.
Yeah, 15,870.
Yeah, the repairs. there.
And we still have nearly 80% left in the fund. Good deal. Does anyone else have a question, an intelligent question, unlike mine?
No, it was fine, I was looking on the wrong page, apologize.
Hearing no questions, I would entertain a motion to approve, and I will make that motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Motion passes. Report passes. Unfinished business, none that I am aware of. Does anybody? Okay, new business. Chief, you want to give us the intro?
Yes, so I will also have Mr. Grossnick talk about this too, but this was wildly overlooked since I was appointed chief back in March. This probably should have been done sometime in January, February. This is for the 2022 Beers Mahler fee agreement / like the employee letter that we do for Mr. Grossnick every year. All I'm doing is asking for approval of the fee agreement, employment letter for 2022 legal services provided by Beers Mahlers LLP. The rate of $150 per hour and retainer fee of $500 has been remained the same.
Yeah, I can speak to that. Typically, when you all decide in January whether to continue with me serving the board, that letter usually comes out of my office in February or March, or at least it comes out of my office for consideration in February or March, and for whatever reason, we missed it. So really, it's just ratifying what we've already been doing all year. And it's the same terms as it was last year, and the same terms that you all agreed to at the beginning of the year. It was just an oversight on my part, so.
Okay, and there's no statute of limitations we can fall back on, or,
No, not necessarily.
just kidding. Okay.
Just need it for my file.
Okay, so what action do we need to take on this?
I think just to entertain a motion to approve it, and I think, has it already gone before Board of Works?
It's gonna go.
I believe it's gonna go this next Board of Works
And then
meeting.
for mayor's signature at that time.
Okay, so we need to approve this?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Andrew? Okay. I would make a motion that we accept this. Any further questions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? You're in luck.
All right.
Passes. Okay, no travel requests. Are there any other matters that may come before this board this afternoon on this beautiful 1st of November day? Okay. Any comments or questions from our visitors? Okay. Well, then I will call this meeting adjourned. Do I need a motion for that, Andrew?
Yeah, probably should.
Okay,
Oh, go ahead.
I make the motion to adjourn.
And I will second.
and I will third it. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your report.
Absolutely. Thank you. Alicia, have a great day.